Hey, what's up everyone? We're gonna go over intervals and repeats. All repeats are intervals, but not all intervals are repeats, all right? So we wanna do repeats. Repeat means you're gonna be repeating the same amount of work over and over and over again. So you get repeat doses of the right stimulus that cause the right change and adaptation, which is a fancy way of saying getting stronger or fitter, okay? So this is what we do when we lift. If we're doing like 5 sets of 5 at 85%, we're doing repeat doses of the same type of stimulus. Or if we're doing a conditioning workout that's like 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, a set amount of work at a set amount of time with some rest intervals, stuff like that. So what intervals look like, and it's not that I'm slamming this type of training, but I kind of am. What intervals end up looking like is that it's just about the time domain. It's not about what you're actually doing in the time domain. So what I'm talking about is if we're doing like 90 seconds on, 90 seconds off for 6 sets of a couple different movements. And in round 1, this is our threshold line, by the way. I probably should have said that first. We have time, we have power, and this is our threshold, our capacity threshold, where if we hit it, that's where we start kind of nose diving when it comes to the amount of work we're able to complete. So here we go. We start off, we go over the threshold, and then we have a rest interval. Then we do a little bit less, and a little bit less. And then the last round, we try to pick it up again, because mentally it feels like you can actually do more work because it's the last round. So you can see how that kind of work changes, and we're not getting enough stimulus around our threshold just below it to really get a lot out of it, and that's what we want to do. We want to find out how to work out the least amount of time we can to get the most amount of results instead of just working out to feel beat up and tired and slow. But at the end of the day, you feel that because you got a high heart rate, you're sweaty and you're sore, you must have had a good workout, where that's actually not necessarily the case. Anyone can make someone sweaty, anyone can give someone a high heart rate, anyone can make you sore, not everyone can make you fitter or better. We have a lot of people, if you look around, a lot of people work out, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're fit. So what we wanna do is, instead of just intervals, we wanna make sure they're repeats, all right? So what repeats look like, time, right? Power, time, we have our threshold line. Let's say it's the same workout as this, but instead of going too high and past our threshold, we come up, go below the line, below the line, below the line. As you can see, I'm getting a lot more work done in this compared to this, right? This one might mentally make you feel like you got a really hard workout because you got so tired, but again, tired doesn't necessarily mean a good workout. This, we're hitting intervals with the right stimulus, so that way we're getting the most amount of work done in that kind of prescribed time, and we're getting repeat doses of the same type of workout, so that way our body can adapt. The more doses of a stimulus, the more your body's gonna adapt to it, okay? So the way we kind of manage this is with that RPE scale, which hopefully I'll remember to link the video in the description if you haven't seen that yet. If we go an RPE of 8 when it's supposed to be a 6, and then fall apart and we're at like a 4 or 5, at a 5, and then we're at a 4, and then we go back up to like a 6, 7, that inconsistency and that lack of repeat doses of stimulus leads to less results than hitting the right RPE each time. And round 1, it might feel easier, but that's gonna build as fatigue builds, right? So sometimes we get stuck in the trap where I'm fresh, let me just hammer it. But if it's an extended workout and it's not like a 3-minute long workout where we're doing something like sprinty and testing, we wanna make sure we're not hitting that threshold, okay? And this happens in strength training again, where if we just make this like weight, right? If we are doing like 5 by 5 and we start light and build and we only get 1 set of 5 near our threshold, instead of doing 5 sets of 5 all at the same weight around our threshold, we're not gonna get as strong from it, okay? And that's why it's important to kind of know what you're capable of, have a little bit of self-awareness so that way you can get the most out of every workout, okay? So again, anyone can do intervals. Really good athletes and people that want the best results end up doing repeats, and that's across the board in almost every training discipline in every sport there is. An example of that is like, you know Nash, she coached track, right? And I helped her coach track. If we were doing a track workout and we said we were doing like 8 by 400 with a 90-second rest in between, the goal would be to have the 400s all relatively around the same time and not drop off over time. You're gonna get a lot more out of that than starting too fast and crashing and burning, then picking it up at the end. In fact, if we're really programmed for someone who's doing running, if they don't hit the time domains they're supposed to, whether they go too fast and then slow down, or end up going too fast on everyone early, they're gonna miss the progression and miss the point of the workout, and we can't build on that in the future. So there's even some days where we're gonna repeat workouts that are intervals, or repeats rather, where week 1, we wanna be like around this level, and it's gonna feel easy. But the point is to build a base, so as we increase the amount of work we're doing, we're able to keep putting upward pressure on your threshold, your capacity. What happens is either because maybe you don't trust what the process is gonna be, and that's our fault if we didn't explain it to you right, or if maybe ego-wise you just want a hard workout all the time, which is also kind of funny because usually people that love hard workouts need less hard workouts than people who hate them, if that makes sense. Because you only like to do what you love. You usually don't like to do what you don't love, which is usually what you need to be fitter and healthier overall, right? So if we don't get that early stuff done and we jump up and we go too high too early, there is nowhere to progress and step up from, which means we end up kind of burning out and capping out. And that's why we see so many people in our world where they don't really get stronger, their conditioning kind of stays the same, and they don't progress the way they should because they don't realize that not every day is let me hammer it, and hey, I feel good because I nearly fell apart, and I picked it up at the end, and I feel tired, and my heart rate was high, and I'm sore, so I think it was a good workout, all right? So make sure we're doing repeats, not just intervals.